Welcome back to the Neutral Zone. Today, we're going to be continuing on with our preview series. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Miami Hurricanes in the 2025 seasons, giving our predictions for how their season is going to go. Before we get started, as always, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. We're going to continue to do these previews until the season starts in about 3 months. Also, let us know in the comment section if there are specific teams you guys want us to go over. We love kind of conversing with you guys back and forth, debating college football. That's what makes it fun. But Dad, give me your breakdown of not only the season coming up, but last year and kind of where you stand with the Miami Hurricanes program.
No, not to Miami. Very good season. But I think at the end of the season, we saw that they were probably a little bit of pretenders. This is a team that had some miracle games. Cam Ward coming over from Washington State had an amazing season, truly amazing season. But he had to save them too many times. There were too many games that came down to last plays or blown calls. We kind of talk about, and I don't think that was sustainable. And we saw that as they end the year losing 3 out of 4 games after winning every game prior to that. This year, obviously, the first thing that we got to talk about when you talk about Miami this upcoming year is the fact that they're bringing Carson Beck over from Georgia. The guy that we thought could be playing for an Heisman last year. Obviously the season didn't go as he thought it should. He's now transferred down to Miami, hoping to kind of regain some of that steam he had going into last season. But the concerning part, you lose Cam Ward, you lose Damian Martinez, you lose your top 4 receivers. You bring back some guys in the transfer portal, CJ Daniels, Tony Johnson, but nobody you bring over had over 500 yards receiving last year. So can somebody become a star in that receiving core, especially from a team that has depleted all their pass catchers from last year? And like I said, Damian Martinez is no longer there. We'll see with Mark Fletcher. I think he was a 5-star guy coming in a couple of seasons ago. We'll see, can he truly be the bell cow? You also have Jordan Lau, who can be that second back. But can Mark Fletcher be the bell cow? And then again, the question, just like we talk about with so many teams, it goes back to that quarterback position. Can Carson Beck be the guy that we thought he was 2 years ago? A guy that we thought would be in the hunt for the number 1 pick, a guy that we thought would be in the hunt for the Heisman. Again, had a down year last year. There are a lot of things at play. I think Georgia led the nation in drop passes. They had a very tough schedule. The schedule will be a little bit lighter for Miami in comparison to Georgia in the SEC. So can he regain that magic that he showed 2 years ago? What's your thoughts, Stephen?
Before I get into it, I do want to say there's a typo on the screen. The safety, Zaquan Patterson, was a part of the 2024 class, and I didn't erase it, so that's my bad. But just to kind of go over the team itself, my biggest concern with this team is the offense. You kind of hit on it a little bit. They lose 5 of their the top 5 pass catchers on their team from last season, and that's including Damian Martinez. So obviously Restrepo, Arroyo, Jacoby George, and Isaiah Horton. All of those guys are in the NFL now, and no longer with the team.
Horton transferred to Alabama.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. And then Cam Ward, obviously the number 1 overall pick, the most dynamic player in college football, damn near. So he's gone now. But you still bring back Mark Fletcher, like you said. You bring back Josh Trader. I think Francis Mauigoa, who's the offensive lineman for Miami, is one of the best offensive linemen in the ACC, if not the country. Yeah. So I think that'll help. Ruben Bain Jr. is one of the better defensive ends in the country. He was battling injuries a lot last season, but he should be a top 15 pick or so, top 10 pick in the next draft class. So I think the defense is going to be solid. I think as far as Carson Beck goes, I think he was a product of the Georgia scheme and the Georgia kind of talent pool. I don't think he's a terrible quarterback. I was never super high on Carson Beck, but I don't think he's going to be what we thought he was. I think now I don't want to sound like super pessimistic, but I think you can plug and play pretty much any quarterback into the Georgia system, and they're going to be notable. They're going to have notable stats. They're going to be able to just game and, manage the game. And I think that's what Carson Beck is able to do. We saw him against Clemson pretty much throw drag routes and slants the entire game outside of a few, big plays. Clemson wasn't a terrible team last year. They weren't great, but the defense was pretty solid. And that's what we saw for the first 3 quarters. And then they kind of took off on Clemson late. And then after that, he didn't do anything super special. Like I said, he managed the game. But that's pretty much what you come to expect from a Georgia quarterback. And there's no knock to that because you have all the talent around you. Why work harder? Just work smarter. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Miami is not going to have that type of talent that Georgia had, both on the offensive line, the skill positions. The defense is not as good as Georgia's, so the defense is not going to put you in favorable positions. We saw Miami's defense look absolutely horrendous last season. Cam Ward literally had to win them 5 to 6 games by himself. I remember watching the Stanford game? I think was it the Cal game. It was Cal. I watched that one live.
Cal, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, the Cal game. I think they were down like 27 points or something crazy. Yes. Came back and won the game. Remember watching it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I wanted Miami to lose so bad because I was a Clemson fan. Obviously, I needed them to lose, but I think this team has a lot of growing pains to get through with the offense. Like I said, I think the defense is going to be solid. Top 25 recruiting class, so you're bringing in some good talent as well. But I think last season it was a mirage. I think as the season progressed, late in the year, you fell apart, you crumbled, like I said, you're losing 90%, 95% of your production from last year on offense. I just don't know how you replace that. But we can kind of look at their schedule. I have them going 8-4. You have them going 9-3. The only other game that you don't have them stumbling is the Virginia Tech game, but I think Virginia Tech is a hostile environment. I think late in the year we saw Miami crumble last season, and I think Virginia Tech's going to be a little bit better than they were last year. Virginia Tech in the ACC, speaking, has one of the hottest environments in the ACC outside of Clemson and maybe NC State.
Florida State can be.
Florida State.
Florida State can be rowdy.
I would say Clemson and Florida State are the top two as far as atmospheres, but I think Virginia Tech is a close third or fourth. So I think that's going to be tough for them. Now, obviously, that's game 11, so I would assume that Miami has kind of ironed out the wrinkles in that team. But I think you have so many tough games. As far as the Notre Dame game, I don't expect you to win that. I think the Florida game, you win that game, but it is a rivalry. We talked about that in the Florida video. Florida State on the road. I think Florida State's going to be a lot better this season. You obviously haven't beating Florida State, but I think that's the first Florida State's. They have the Alabama game at home, but after that, that's their opening game to the ACC. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it's a rivalry, so I think that game's going to be hot. And then SMU with Jennings they're a really good offense. Obviously, we saw that last season. So that's why I have them going 8-4. I don't think they're going to be as hot of a topic as they were last season. I just don't see it happening unless Carson Beck is able to put his cape on like Cam Ward, which I just don't see happening.
Yeah, I don't think Carson Beck is as mobile. I kind of took that Florida State game and said basically they'd go 1-1, which is theoretically what you did as well. Again, I think we obviously both picked the Notre Dame game. We both picked the SMU game. Again, Virginia Tech, that was another game I was looking at. There are a couple games that we just don't know enough about the teams this year. Syracuse, and we can kind of listen more Louisville. But this is not a cupcake season. Now, I will say, for Carson Beck, this season is an opportunity to show that you are an elite level quarterback. And I think to regain any traction that you lost as a recruit, as a draft prospect, you have to put up elite level numbers in the ACC this year. You have to put up Kyle McCord level numbers, 4,000 plus yards and big touchdown numbers, because people are going to take everything that you did with a microscope. They're still going to remember last year, but you have to really have a bounce back season. That's why I have them 9-3, because I believe he knows that. I believe Miami knows that he's going to have to put up numbers throwing the ball. There are some teams that I think are just better. I said 9-3, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're anywhere up and down our floor and ceiling because this team could really pop. As I look at every game, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Miami won them all. If I look at the game individually. Now, would I be shocked if they were 12-0? Yes. But I wouldn't be shocked if you point to any one game and say Miami beats Notre Dame. Are you shocked? No. Miami beats SMU. Are you shocked? No. Now, if you tell me they run through all of this and don't have a slip up, that's where I'd be a little bit shocked. But this is the season of Carson Beck. They're going to go as far as Carson Beck and this new receiving core goes. They also have a new secondary. 4 players in the secondary in the transfer portal. If you've seen the last slide as well, again, that could be good or bad. As you mentioned, Stephen, had a horrible secondary last year, had a bad defense. Maybe some of those players can gel and make it better. But that's why I'm going in 9-3, because I have a little bit more belief in Carson Beck and his need to prove himself.
Yeah, and I do want to also hit on, we both have the ceiling at 12-0. So before Miami fans say that we don't know what we're talking about, because it happens every time, I would not be surprised if they won every single game. But, and I want to say but in capital letters, last season we saw them struggling against teams they weren't supposed to struggle against. They shouldn't have struggled that mightily against a team like Cal. They shouldn't have had to win against on a Hail Mary buzzer beater against Virginia Tech at home, which I'm going to say they lost that damn game. So I want to say that they should not have won that game. So I do want to say that I think they could beat anybody on this schedule. But at the end of the day, it's a 12-part series. You have to win every game if we're talking about a team going 12-0. And I just can't see that happening. When you look at, we don't know, somebody may be banged up. You may lose a Mark Fletcher. You may lose a Ruben Bain again. You may lose a Carson Beck against a team like Florida or Florida State, who we think is going to be a little bit better than they were last season. And who I don't even know who the backup quarterback is at Miami. So, I mean, I don't know if I can trust and believe in depth, because like I said, they've already lost 5 of their top 5 pass catchers. So we don't even know. There's so many question marks around this offense, both running the ball, throwing the ball, catching the ball. The defense should be solid. But as far as the offense goes, I need to see what they're going to be able to do as far as a depth perception.
Before the Miami fans go crazy, the backup is Emory Williams at Miami. I know they're going to come in. You're like, no, nothing. Carson Beck's the starter. Emory Williams is the backup.
Yeah. And no disrespect to Emory Williams. I've never heard of him, but no disrespect to him. But I was just making a point that what are you going to do? Yeah. So, like last year, if Cam Ward went down, this is a 6-6 team. So, so that was my only point I'm making.
If Carson Beck gets hurt and you are counting on Emory Williams, and again, like you said, no knock, I would say that we're talking about a whole new trajectory. We're looking at this completely different. This is a guy that in his career has thrown less than 100 passes. So again, no knock to Emory, but I don't think that you can count on him. So you're very right. Depth is a concern. I don't necessarily like this receiving core in terms of the names that we know. Like I said, no receiver returning that had over 500 yards receiving last year. 3 guys literally coming via the transfer portal. So the chemistry, can one of these guys pop? One of them is going to have to. Where I feel somewhat decent is Mark Fletcher. I think he's going to pop. Had a really good season, even playing kind of the Robin to Damon Martinez last year. I think he's going to pop, and I think Carson Beck has to play better than he played last year.
And lastly, I do want to say, if you do end up a 9-3 Miami team, that puts you in a position to get the playoffs. We saw Clemson, we saw South Carolina right around that 14-17 spot.
I'll be honest, I don't know. Might be because it depends on what happens in the ACC, right? If we're talking about Clemson winning it, and then you got to look at
I want to say though, in your prediction, you have them going 9-3, but their only one loss is in conference, so that could be a ACC berth as far as going to the ACC title game.
Yeah, but if they've lost to SMU, let me say I think SMU is a better team than them, right? So my natural right now, and please do not hold me to this, because as we kind of go along, I may look and see different. But right now, my early prediction would be Clemson SMU in the ACC championship. That'd be my early prediction. Do I have Miami as possibly a third?
Clemson and SMU do play each other this year, by the way, I think.
Yeah, but even if they did, okay, one team gets a loss. Again, let's say Clemson beats SMU, but SMU beats Miami. I think that would give SMU the tiebreaker over Miami to replay Clemson again. So, not to say they can't. I'm not saying they can't. I think 9-3 in the ACC And again, this is probably where we get a little bit into the bias. Doesn't hold the same weight as 9-3 in the SEC or
Yeah.
9-3 in maybe the Big Ten.
I agree. But as always, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. We're going to continue doing these previews. We appreciate you guys sticking around for this long in the video. Let us know what you guys think about Miami and their season, as well as whatever teams you guys want us to preview. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Peace.